November 28, 1944, Tokyo Bay, Japan. The largest warship ever built was preparing for its maiden voyage, the Shinano, a converted super-battleship turned aircraft carrier, 72,000 tons, 840 feet long, armor thicker than any carrier in history. Japanese naval officers believed Shinano was unsinkable. Its hull was designed to withstand torpedo hits, its compartments were sealed, its armor was impenetrable. This ship would change the course of the war. 300 miles away, an American submarine was patrolling Japanese waters, USS Archerfish, a Yamato-class submarine, 311 feet long, 1,500 tons, crew of 80 men, hunting for targets. Commander Joseph Enright commanded Archerfish. He was 37 years old, from Chicago. This was his second command. His first command had been a disaster. Missed shots, failed attacks. He'd been relieved of duty, given a second chance. This patrol would determine his career. November 28, 11:48 p.m. Archerfish's sonar operator heard something. Propeller sounds. Multiple ships, fast, heading southeast. Big targets, very big. Commander Enright rushed to the conning tower. This could be it. The target he'd been hunting for. His redemption. What Enright didn't know, he'd just detected the Shinano on its maiden voyage to Kure Naval Base, escorted by 3 destroyers, moving at 20 knots. If he could sink this ship, the largest warship in the world, it would be the greatest submarine attack in history. This is the story of how one American submarine crew sank a ship everyone said was unsinkable, in one of the most dramatic submarine hunts ever documented. The Shinano began life as a battleship, the third Yamato-class super-battleship, Japan's ultimate weapons. Each Yamato-class battleship was designed to be indestructible. 18-inch guns, armor measured in feet, not inches, able to survive multiple torpedo hits. But after the Battle of Midway in June 1942, Japan realized it needed carriers more than battleships. The Shinano, still under construction, was converted from battleship to aircraft carrier, the largest aircraft carrier ever built. The conversion kept the battleship's armor. The flight deck was armored with 3-inch steel. The hull had multiple watertight compartments. The design incorporated lessons from every carrier Japan had lost. Shinano was supposed to be unsinkable. Captain Toshio Abe was given command. He was 49 years old, experienced, respected. He'd commanded cruisers and battleships. Now he commanded the world's largest warship. It should have been the crowning achievement of his career. November 28, 1944. Shinano prepared to depart Tokyo Bay for Kure Naval Base. The voyage was 300 miles, through waters where American submarines operated. But Captain Abe was confident. His ship was unsinkable. No submarine could threaten it. 3 destroyers would escort Shinano: Isakaze, Yukikaze, Hamakaze. These destroyers were equipped with sonar, depth charges. Their job, detect submarines, keep Shinano safe. Between the destroyers and Shinano's own defenses, no submarine could get close. At 6:00 p.m., Shinano departed, moving at 20 knots, fast for a carrier, too fast for most submarines to catch. The voyage would take 15 hours. By morning, Shinano would be safe in Kure, protected by harbor defenses. Captain Abe stood on the bridge, watched Tokyo disappear behind him. Everything seemed perfect. Lookout scanned the ocean. Nothing, just open water. The destroyers reported no submarine contacts. All clear. Captain Abe went to his cabin, left the watch officer in command. He'd be called if anything happened. Nothing would happen. His ship was unsinkable. USS Archerfish was 300 miles from Tokyo, on its 5th war patrol, looking for targets. The patrol had been frustrating. Few contacts, missed opportunities. Commander Enright needed a success. Joseph Enright's career was on the line. His first command, USS Dace, had been taken away after he missed several attacks. The Navy gave him a second chance with Archerfish, but second chances don't come with third chances. This patrol had to produce results. Archerfish's crew was mostly in their early 20s. Kids, but trained, experienced. They'd conducted 4 previous patrols, sunk several Japanese merchantmen, but nothing major, nothing that would make headlines. At 11:48 p.m. on November 28th, sonar operator John Hansen heard something. Sonar, multiple contacts, high-speed screws, bearing 270, range approximately 25,000 yards. High-speed contacts meant warships. Merchantmen were slow, warships were fast. This could be important. Enright went to the periscope, raised it briefly. Submarines couldn't keep periscopes up long or risk detection. He saw silhouettes, large shapes, moving fast, but he couldn't identify them in the darkness. He needed to get closer, much closer. Dive, dive, take her down to periscope depth. Archerfish submerged. Running submerged, the submarine could only make 9 knots. The targets were making 20 knots. They'd pull away unless Enright could predict their course. Lieutenant Bob Cousins, the navigation officer, plotted an intercept course. If the targets maintained course and speed, Archerfish could reach an attack position in 6 hours. Maybe. If everything went perfectly, 6 hours. Chasing an enemy they couldn't yet identify. It was a gamble. Enright made the call. We're going after them. All ahead flank, surface running until we close the range. Archerfish surfaced, running on diesels at maximum speed, 20 knots, burning fuel, making noise, risking detection. But it was the only way to catch the fast-moving targets. For the next 4 hours, Archerfish raced across the Pacific, slowly closing the distance. The sonar operator continuously reported, contact still ahead, still moving at high speed, bearing steady. Enright stayed in the conning tower, didn't sleep, didn't rest, just watched, waited, hoped. At 3 a.m., Enright raised the periscope and saw it, a shape, enormous, dwarfing the destroyer escorts. It was huge, far larger than any carrier he'd ever seen. He didn't know what it was, but he knew it was important, very important. Enright called his officers to the periscope. One by one, they looked. Each had the same reaction. Disbelief. What was that thing? It was too large to be a carrier, too flat to be a battleship. What was it? The officers pulled out recognition manuals, studied silhouettes, compared measurements. Nothing matched. This ship wasn't in American intelligence records. It was unknown, but it was huge and Japanese. That's all that mattered. The problem, 3 destroyer escorts, zigzagging around the big ship, active sonar pinging, searching for submarines. If Archerfish got too close, the destroyers would detect them. Depth charges would follow. Enright began calculating a firing solution, range 8,000 yards, speed 20 knots, course steady southeast. If he fired torpedoes now, the target would probably evade. Too far, too much time for the torpedoes to reach target. He needed to get closer, 2,000 yards, optimal firing range. But that meant passing through the destroyer screen. Archerfish crept forward. 2 knots, barely moving, silent running. All unnecessary equipment shut down. No talking. Just the sound of breathing and the quiet hum of electric motors. At 3:15 a.m., one of the destroyers, Hamikaze, passed directly over Archerfish. The submarine crew heard the destroyer's screws overhead, heard the active sonar pinging. They were so close the destroyer should have detected them. But they weren't detected. Either the destroyer's sonar was malfunctioning or the crew wasn't paying attention. Either way, Archerfish passed through the screen undetected. Now, Enright had a clear approach. The giant ship was 4,000 yards away, still too far. He needed 2,000 yards. He kept creeping closer. 3:30 a.m. Range, 3,500 yards. 3:45 a.m. Range, 3,000 yards. 4 a.m. Range, 2,500 yards. Close enough. If he got any closer, the target might detect Archerfish's periscope wake. This was the moment. Flood tubes 1 through 6. Open outer doors. The torpedo room crew flooded the tubes, opened the outer doors. 6 Mark 14 torpedoes were ready. Each torpedo 21 inches in diameter. 3,000 pounds. 643 pounds of Torpex explosive. Enough to sink any ship if they hit the right spot. Enright took one last periscope observation, measured the target's angle, speed, course, calculated the lead angle. Where the target would be when the torpedoes arrived, the firing solution was perfect. Range 2,400 yards. Target speed 20 knots. Target angle 80 degrees. Perfect broadside shot. He gave the order. Fire 1. The first torpedo left tube 1. A slight shudder ran through the submarine. The crew felt it. The torpedo was running. 46 knots, set to run at 10 feet depth, magnetic and contact fuse armed. Fire 2, fire 3, fire 4, fire 5, fire 6. 6 torpedoes spread across 400 yards. If the target maintained course, at least 4 would hit, maybe all 6. The torpedoes ran true, straight, silent, deadly. The Type 95 oxygen torpedoes Japan used left no bubble trail. American Mark 14 torpedoes did. Compressed air created visible bubbles. But at night, from 2,400 yards, the bubble trails weren't visible. Torpedo run time 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Enright counted down. His crew counted down. Everyone silent, waiting, hoping. This was it. 6 torpedoes heading toward the largest target any submarine had ever attacked. Either they'd hit and make history, or they'd miss and Enright's career was over. On Shinano, a lookout spotted the torpedo wakes. Too late. The torpedoes were 500 yards away, 20 seconds to impact. He shouted a warning. Alarm sounded, but there was no time to maneuver. A ship that large couldn't turn quickly enough. 4:17 a.m. The first torpedo hit midship portside. The explosion was enormous. A column of water shot 100 feet into the air. The entire ship shuddered. 8 seconds later, second torpedo hit, forward, portside. 15 seconds after that, third torpedo hit, aft, portside, then fourth torpedo, fifth torpedo, sixth torpedo. All 6 torpedoes hit. Perfect spread, perfect attack. Enright watched through the periscope. 6 massive explosions. The target was still afloat, still moving, but listing, clearly damaged. He didn't know it yet, but those 6 torpedoes had just sealed the fate of the largest warship ever built. Take her deep. 400 feet. Rig for depth charge. Archerfish dove. The destroyer escorts had heard the explosions. They'd be coming. Fast. With depth charges ready. The depth charges came. Wham, wham, wham. Explosions shook the submarine. Light bulbs shattered. Equipment rattled. But the depth charges were far enough away. Not fatal. Archerfish survived. After an hour, the depth charging stopped. The destroyers lost contact. Archerfish escaped. The crew quietly celebrated. They'd hit something big, really big. They didn't know what, but they knew it was important. On Shinano, the situation was catastrophic. 6 torpedoes had blown 6 holes in the hull, each hole 20 feet across. Water was flooding in at thousands of tons per minute. Damage control teams tried to seal compartments, close watertight doors, pump out water. But Shinano had a fatal flaw. It was rushed into service. Many watertight doors weren't properly sealed. Many pumps weren't working. The ship wasn't ready for sea. Captain Abe realized what was happening. His unsinkable ship was sinking. The armor that was supposed to protect against torpedoes had been penetrated. The compartments that were supposed to contain flooding weren't working. He ordered, increase speed, try to beach the ship on the nearest coast. If they could reach shallow water, they could ground the ship, save the crew. Engineering crews tried to maintain power. The water was rising, flooding the lower decks. Electric systems were failing, but the engineers kept working, trying to save their ship. The list increased. 10 degrees, 15 degrees, 20 degrees. Equipment was sliding across decks. Crew members were struggling to stand. The ship was dying. Officers advised Captain Abe, "Abandon ship, order the crew to abandon, save lives while there's still time." But Abe refused. His ship was unsinkable. It couldn't sink. It wouldn't sink. He wouldn't order abandon ship. By 9 a.m., 5 hours after the torpedo attack, water reached the main deck. The list was 30 degrees. Crew members were jumping into the ocean, inflating life rafts, swimming toward the destroyer escorts. At 10:18 a.m., Shinano rolled over. The massive hull, longer than 2 football fields, turned turtle, exposing the keel, the propellers, the rudder, everything that was supposed to be underwater. Then the bow went down. The stern rose, higher, higher. The propellers were 100 feet in the air. The massive ship stood nearly vertical, and then it sank, disappeared beneath the Pacific in less than 3 minutes. The largest warship ever built. Gone. The destroyer escorts rescued 1,080 survivors, but 1,435 crew members died, including Captain Abe. He went down with his ship, as tradition demanded, his unsinkable ship. That sank in 17 hours. USS Archerfish surfaced 50 miles away, safe. The crew came on deck, breathed fresh air, celebrated. They knew they'd hit something big, but they didn't know what. Commander Enright sent a radio message to Submarine Command. Attacked large warship, possibly carrier. 6 torpedoes fired, 6 hits observed. Target severely damaged. Proceeding to patrol station. At Submarine Command in Pearl Harbor, officers analyzed Enright's report. 6 torpedoes, 6 hits, large warship. If true, this was extraordinary, but they were skeptical. Enright had failed on his first command. Was he exaggerating? Over the next few days, American intelligence intercepted Japanese radio traffic, encrypted messages. When decoded, they revealed something shocking. Japan had lost a major warship, the Shinano, a converted Yamato-class battleship, 72,000 tons, the largest warship ever built, and a submarine had sunk it. The intelligence officers realized Enright wasn't exaggerating. He'd actually sunk the Shinano, the largest ship ever sunk by a submarine. In naval history, ever. This was unprecedented. When Archerfish returned to Pearl Harbor, the entire submarine force turned out, bands playing, flags waving. Enright was a hero, redeemed. He'd gone from failure to legend in one patrol. Commander Enright received the Navy Cross, the second highest military decoration. The citation read, "For extraordinary heroism as commanding officer of USS Archerfish during a war patrol in enemy-controlled waters." Commander Enright conducted a brilliant and aggressive attack against a major enemy warship, resulting in its complete destruction. His courage and skill reflect the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. The entire crew received commendations. Archerfish received the Presidential Unit Citation. The submarine's battle flag would forever display a large rising sun, the Japanese naval ensign, with 72,000 tons written across it. The sinking of Shinano remains the largest warship ever sunk by submarine. To put it in perspective, Shinano, 72,000 tons, Titanic, 46,000 tons, USS Enterprise, WW2 carrier, 19,800 tons, German Bismarck, 50,000 tons. Shinano was larger than Titanic, larger than any battleship, the ultimate target. Japan had planned for Shinano to change the course of the war. It would carry 47 aircraft, serve as a mobile airfield, support the defense of the Japanese homeland. Its loss was catastrophic, not just materially, but psychologically. The sinking proved American submarine warfare was devastatingly effective. By 1945, American submarines had sunk 1,814 Japanese ships, totaling 5.3 million tons. Destroyed 60% of Japanese merchant fleet, strangled Japan's economy. Shinano was just the largest single victim. After the war, Japanese naval officers analyzed the Shinano disaster. Their conclusion, rushing the ship into service, was a fatal mistake. The ship wasn't ready. Watertight doors weren't sealed properly. Damage control training was incomplete. If Shinano had completed proper sea trials, it might have survived the torpedo attack. Commander Enright continued his naval career. He'd been given a second chance and proven himself. He retired as a vice admiral in 1963, lived until 1999, aged 91. He never forgot November 29, 1944, the night he made history. The crew of USS Archerfish held reunions for decades after the war. They'd shared something unique, the greatest submarine attack in history. They'd sunk a ship most people didn't even know existed until after the war ended. John Hansen, the sonar operator who first detected Shinano, became a sonar instructor after the war. He trained hundreds of sonar operators, always told them, "Pay attention, every contact matters. The contact that seems routine might be the target of a lifetime." Bob Cousins, the navigation officer who plotted the intercept course, became a navigation instructor. He taught that sometimes you have to take calculated risks, chase targets you're not sure you can catch, because you never know what you'll find. The torpedo room crew, the men who loaded and fired the 6 torpedoes, never forgot the feeling. Launching weapons they knew would hit, hearing the explosions, knowing they'd just accomplished something incredible. Today, USS Archerfish is memorialized at submarine museums across America. The submarine itself was decommissioned in 1968 and scrapped, but its legacy lives on, the submarine that sank the unsinkable ship. In Japan, the Shinano is remembered as a tragedy. 1,435 sailors died. Many were young, teenagers, conscripts. They died on a ship that should never have gone to sea unprepared. Captain Toshio Abe is remembered with mixed feelings. He followed tradition, went down with his ship, but he also refused to abandon ship until too late. More crew members might have survived if he'd ordered abandon earlier. Survivors of Shinano spent decades not talking about it. The sinking was classified by Japan until the 1950s. When they finally could speak, they told stories of chaos. Water flooding in, compartments failing, a ship that was supposed to be unsinkable sinking in hours. Post-war engineering analysis revealed Shinano's fatal flaws. 1. Rushed construction left watertight seals incomplete. 2. Crew training was inadequate for damage control. 3. Many pumps and systems weren't functioning properly. 4. The ship was pushed into service months too early. If Shinano had completed proper sea trials, these flaws would have been discovered. Fixed. The ship might have survived the torpedo attack. Military historians debate, what if Shinano had survived? What if it had made it to Kure, completed its fitting out, entered service properly? Would it have changed the war's outcome? The consensus, probably not. By late 1944, Japan was already losing. Shinano might have delayed defeat, but not prevented it. American industrial capacity was too great. Japan was being overwhelmed. Modern submarines, both American and Japanese, sometimes visit the spot where Shinano sank. They hold memorial ceremonies, honor the dead on both sides. Remember the largest submarine attack in history. Shinano lies at the bottom of the Pacific, 3,000 feet down. Too deep for casual diving. The exact location is known but not publicly disclosed. It's a war grave. 1,435 sailors rest there. USS Archerfish's battle flag hangs in the U.S. Naval Academy Museum. The large rising sun symbol. 72,000 tons written across it. Students see it. Learn the story. Understand that submarine warfare can change history. In his retirement, Joseph Enright gave interviews about the Shinano sinking. He was humble about it, said, "We were in the right place at the right time. The crew did their jobs perfectly. The torpedoes worked, and we got lucky. In war, sometimes luck matters as much as skill." The Shinano sinking is taught in naval academies worldwide. It teaches several lessons. 1. Never rush ships into service unprepared. 2. Proper training is essential for damage control. 3. No ship is truly unsinkable. 4. Submarines are the ultimate stealth weapons. 5. One well-executed attack can change everything. The story of USS Archerfish and Shinano is the ultimate David versus Goliath tale. 2,500-ton submarine versus 72,000-ton carrier, 80-man crew versus 2,500-man crew. 6 torpedoes versus supposedly unsinkable ship David 1. On November 29, 1944, USS Archerfish accomplished what should have been impossible. A small submarine hunted down and sank the largest warship ever built, with 6 torpedoes in one attack on the ship's maiden voyage. 80 men, average age 23, executed a perfect submarine attack. Perfect tracking, perfect positioning, perfect firing solution, perfect torpedo runs. Everything went right, and they sank a giant. 1,435 Japanese sailors died that night. They weren't evil. They were sailors doing their duty, serving their country. They deserve better than to die on a ship that wasn't ready for sea. Their sacrifice is honored, remembered, respected. Joseph Enright's story is one of redemption. Failed on his first command, given a second chance, made the most of it, became a legend, proved that failure isn't final, that second chances matter, that one mission can define a career. The sinking of Shinano remains unmatched. Largest warship ever sunk by submarine, 72,000 tons. The record that will probably never be broken, because ships that large are never built anymore. And submarines are now armed with missiles, not torpedoes. USS Archerfish, 6 torpedoes, 1 mission, history made. The greatest submarine attack ever executed.